Okay, everybody, welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us for our second broadcast of the night. My name is Red Baron, and with me on the phone here, I've got Red Bear, our technical director, our coin research director for FibbyCharts.com and for the unfairadvantage.chat. So let me kind of preface what you're going to be listening to tonight. You're going to be listening to a little bit of an explanation as to what's going on with DAOs. It's a very big concern right now because the prices are just dropping like a cement. It's horrible. It's horrible. I don't think I need to be explaining to you, if you're already in this, what's going on. I mean, it's absolutely a nightmare. I mean, we've lost 90% value, and it just keeps on going. So what's triggering this? So we're going to talk about this a little bit here, and give me just a second to get everything done, and I got to put the word out to everybody and let them know we're back on broadcast again. Going to have a little bit of radio silence here for just a couple seconds while I get everybody the new links and stuff, and then we'll be on and we'll discuss what's going on with Red Bear. So hang on just 1 second. Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining me. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to discuss a little bit about what's going on with the DAOs in general, but most specifically, what is Rome DAO plan on doing about this crypto apocalypse that we're living through right now? It's a pretty serious thing, and I want to make sure that everybody's on board with exactly what the risks are, what the solutions are, that sort of thing. So with me on the phone here, I got Red Bear. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys
doing? Aside from the obvious, not pretty good. So I'll go ahead and give you the floor, so you can just go ahead and just download what you know. So you sat in on an AMA just recently. Let everybody know kind of your credibility. What? So you are on the council. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, I'm on a council of one of the houses, and it's just House of Chaos. A lot of people are in that. We were when we were getting people associated and sorted out.
So
before we had a lot of people before. So House of Chaos is basically a .sama house. It does outreach, public stuff like that. Tries to work out partnerships, and it's a good launch pad for a lot of the goings on in the larger ecosystem.
Right. So the houses are basically the different project centers for the management of the DAO is what you're a part of. So every house has its own little mission objectives. One is advertising, one is promotion, one is gaming, one is governance. Or they're all governance, but so you sit in an interesting position where you kind of sit on the inside and hear these conversations and get a sense of what's going on. Is that basically the gist of it?
Yep, that's basically the gist of it.
So tell us what the overall problem is here. So we've had a hell of a plunge, just a hell of a plunge.
Yep. So we kind of launched into a perfect storm, as to reel it back to what Veronica was talking about. It is kind of a perfect storm of everything that's happening right now. So we launched a new token, and the new token came out. It had a very good uptrend, and then when it started to do like the normal sell-off point, that's when the market started to crash. So it exacerbated the problem quite significantly. And then since it's a newer coins tend to crash more during crashes as well, just because the nature of them. They don't have a lot built yet, so they're more speculative.
Small market cap.
Exactly, small market cap, new coin, all these kind of things went into this kind of perfect storm. But to give you guys some hope on this, I just want to mention one more thing. So Time Wonderland, I don't know if you guys heard of this one, but Time Wonderland was one of the two major DAOs. So the two major DAOs that established the narrative for DAOs is Time Wonderland and Ohm. Ohm is kind of the originator of the whole rebase DAO idea. Rome kind of took that idea and actually improved on it by utilizing its core functionality to build its treasury system and giving token holders all this stuff. But the idea of Rome was actually to take it and build onto it. So they have half of it being this rebase DAO, and then the other half being a game. And that would be a way to actually create a backing for a game. So the game would actually have a utility and a backing to it that most games don't have. Most games like Axie Infinity and stuff like that are entirely based on new buyers coming in and purchasing the token. So it's everything they accuse rebase DAOs of being, which is like Ponzi scheme alternate.
Right, and to kind of go back and the term is overused, Ponzi, and let's define our terms. Ponzi's are basically they survive as long as there's always new fresh money coming in at the bottom of the pyramid. Without that, everything falls apart very, very quickly. And so a Ponzi, you hear that term overused, kind of like scam, Ponzi, whatever. Just because you hear that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So to define the terms of a Ponzi is basically the guys at the top make their money, or the only ones who make the money, and the guys at the bottom never make any money. And it requires more and more people being brought in on the bottom to keep the whole thing going so that the guys at the top get paid out. And when it eventually falls apart, the whole thing comes down. So I want to make sure everybody understands that.
To further elaborate on my point, though, it's definitely not that, because the fact that the treasury is constantly generating revenue, like fresh capital, by charging fees for using the liquidity project or liquidity pool, as well as also having a launch pad that creates protocols. Like, for instance, if a protocol comes in, like let me think of a good example here. Like if a Remark comes into Moon River, for instance, Remark is, we've talked about this in previous podcasts before, an NFT metaverse protocol. If it comes in and wants to own its own liquidity, what it would do, it would go to Rome and basically trade in a certain amount of its tokens with a trade pair. Basically, like, for instance, they'd create like a stable coin and their token, and they'd create this pool, and then they would get charged a 3% fee on this, and then they would be able to own their own liquidity as opposed to having to rent it out by providing all these other kind of incentives that actually subtract from the overall protocol. So that's the idea of how a rebase DAO actually functions, how DeFi 2.0 functions. The idea was damaged, though, because of Time Wonderland. Their CFO was apparently a felon or something. The whole market got hit by this really stupid kind of perfect storm with Time Wonderland, and it has nothing to do with the Rome project overall. So Rome has decided to kind of like try to sidestep this issue by pivoting a little bit with their Ohm Fork brand image, and trying to switch more towards, by pushing more emphasis on their gaming aspect. They're attempting to become like a gaming utility token that provides liquidity and DeFi at the same time. So it's actually, in my opinion, more bullish than the original Ohm Fork narrative that essentially it was created under.
Mm-hmm.
And then the new narrative is actually way more bullish overall, because as we've seen with things like Axie Infinity and stuff like this, these tokens, they have like this kind of growing, and then people get bored with the game, and then they kind of starting to wither and then die, especially because all these games that are being released right now aren't actually quality games. They're more of like just trying to get games out the door just so they can get the hype train on and then try to capitalize. And these in games, if you know anything about the gaming market, it takes a year minimum to really flesh out a well-crafted, well-balanced game. And most of these games are being launched in a few months. So what you're gonna see, I think, is that there's gonna be this initial game on the market kind of thing, and then these projects are gonna start developing secondary games, and these secondary games are gonna be the games that are really gonna be fun, that are gonna compete with actually real title games on like major, gaming platforms and stuff like that, because they need to get something out there. But then they're going to have so much capital to mess with if they're established and are actually building, that they'll be able to create gigantic, really creative games in a short amount of time. And as we've seen with other meme coins, for instance, we've seen Shiba and Doge and all these other meme coins pumping based off nothing really, no product or anything.
Yeah.
The whole idea is quick money and fun. Like quick money and fun. That seems to be like a large percentage of new crypto investors. You have like kind of the old guard of crypto investors, which are all about utility. You have like, give me my layer 2s, give me my layer 1s, give me my use case, give me all this kind of stuff. And there's definitely money in that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just if you're trying to get like the 10x, 30x, 50x, 100x multiples in a short amount of time, generally people go towards meme coins, right?
Right.
Well, DAOs attracted the meme coin crowd because of the super high interest rate, and the irony of that is that doesn't work for DAOs. DAOs are hodler's coin, right? They're not a flipper coin. So you need to hold it for a certain amount of time. This is why the plan was always, we're going to hold it for like 4, 5, 6 months, right? Which kind of puts us right in this window that Veronica was already talking about anyway, which was in July. Now we weren't supposed to dip this far down, but during this entire time we're also making rebases as well. So we're getting value even though it looks like we're losing, and we are losing. But it's not like when the market cap returns to higher levels as the game develops and gets pushed up, and people start getting on this new narrative, and the market stabilizes, and the fear drifts out of the market, because it will. What we see right now is kind of a slowing down in the whole narrative with the whole try not to trigger any algorithms, the whole jab thing, like that whole thing is starting to slow down a little bit. You're seeing people getting a lot of pushback. There's essentially, it seems like they try to bring us right to the edge of the cliff, and they couldn't push us any further. And I know that you had mentioned this before, speaking about with your 21 group, how they saw like something in February, like it's going to be like kind of wrapping up in February.
February, March.
It seems like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's looking like it's going to play out like that.
Yeah.
It is Agenda 2030, not Agenda 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be the initial push. They just see how far we'll go. They know where we're at. Kind of like doing with sonar, trying to figure out where the public population is at by how much they push back. And they kind of figure out the next steps of their plans based on that.
Yeah, so it's a long game, definitely.
Yep. So we might have a little bit of a breather here when it comes to this whole thing. They take us right to the brink, and they walk us back so they can take us 2 more steps forward another day.
I agree.
Yep. So, what we're going to have right now is like this fear is going to flow out of the market, and then people are going to start getting bullish again. They're going to be looking for new opportunities, new projects, and if we can successfully position ourselves and sell ourselves as a, solution to gaming DeFi's problem, which is there's no utility. Everybody just has to keep on buying the token. It has to be a super fun game and also that kind of stuff. And you can say, well, hey, we have a super fun game and we also have utility. That sounds pretty bullish to me.
Yeah.
So right now we're going through a brand problem, but the core product is amazing, and the brand that we can switch to is even more amazing than initially I think that we were looking at. So overall, I'm still bullish on the project. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. It's just my personal opinion, me thinking, and me going forward based on my own understanding of this, what's going on. But I think I have a pretty good grasp of what is going on in the larger ecosystem right now. We have a perfect storm.
And on top of that, we're wrapped in a nice crunchy shell of just the general market is just crap right now.
Of course, yeah.
As I said in the last live stream, that Veronica tends to believe we're going to go to 20. I still say 12. But whether it's 12, 20, 25, whatever, we're not at the bottom yet. A lot of guys have been asking in the Discord, when are we going to know? When's the bottom of this thing? Well, she called 27. I've been suspecting $25 as being the bottom. It's still too soon to tell. But I base that upon a lot of things. I base it upon the fact that, you got to watch Bitcoin. When Bitcoin begins to convincingly rebound, I think shortly thereafter, and by shortly I mean about within a week after, everything will start coming up. But there's no need in spinning your tires and grinding your teeth and looking at Rome or any of these other things that you're holding going, when, is this it, is it? Because basically all you got to do is look at Bitcoin. It tells you everything you need to know. When Bitcoin goes to those prices I've been telling everybody for a year or so, then you're going to know, are we at the bottom? Is Bitcoin at the bottom? Yep, then everything else is too. And you'll see it follow up as well. But in my opinion, that's going to be probably March, if not a little bit longer, before we start to see a convincing turnaround and it's just undeniably over. And there'll be gyrations up and down even during that, but the worst will be behind us come mid-March, I think.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, people can just keep their wits about them right now. I would not recommend, it's not financial advice, obviously, but I would not recommend selling into your fear,
No.
That's kind of the whole point of the fear aspect. So they get you freaked out and they start selling and then they start buying things up. And this works across the board. So it doesn't matter who you are. It just matters that they're trying to get you fearful.
Yeah.
It's like Red Baron's talked about this for a long time. Like, these hedge funds, these they use trade bots, and they're completely all about just making you as fearful as possible. They're not playing off of the same kind of human emotions that you are. So they just see prices and they say that's a good price, that's a bad price, and then they say buy, sell, right? So if high price they sell, if low price they buy, and that's how they operate. And we don't work that way as humans. We think high price, that means value. Low price, that means not value. And we just really got to think about things differently and be much more calm in our approach of how we go about crypto. Because especially when we're in the red a lot, we can lose perspective, and we can start making panic decisions and just trying to make some money back. But the best thing that I've learned to do is just to take a breath, maybe walk away from the screen for a little bit, and just know that you're constantly think about the fundamentals of your project, and that really gives you a lot of strength when you understand the fundamentals of your project. To know that if your project's strong, then you just have to wait till the next move up in price, and you'll catch that wave. Yeah. And it might take a little bit longer for a newer project, but the point is as things start to build, people are seeing the biggest thing when it comes to these kind of newer projects is just the team is unfazed. And I gotta say, this Varo guy, he's really chill. I've never seen a guy who's colder and in the face of losing 170 million or something in total market cap. He's totally he's just focused, and that's the kind of stuff that you like to see as an investor. To be this guy's dedicated. He's not going to bail on me. He's not going to get a head game about it. He's not going to lose perspective. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's building. And he's not the only builder, obviously, but he's kind of the face right now.
And this is not his first rodeo, is what you're saying.
Oh no, yeah. These guys are old head cryptos. They've been in since as long as you can be in, basically, and they have a lot of talent on that team. And it's not just talent; it's professionalism too. Which it's a crapshoot when it comes to a DAO. If you're going to get somebody who steps up who's actually got a professional attitude, that's you never know. So I think in that regard we've lucked out in the sense that we are in a project that is able to actually quickly rotate out of a narrative that is maybe compromised because of a larger DAO's mishandling of their personal finances.
Right.
and that's really what we got to keep perspective on here. It's not actually Rome that's sick. It's the fact that a bunch of people who are opportunists kind of poison the space.
Sure.
And as a result, we'll just have to pivot to the stronger narrative, which we already were well positioned for in any way, and we'll just run with that. Axie Infinity, all these other kind of crypto gaming tokens is not going to go away. I mean, that's a great way for Facebook and stuff to develop their metaverse. Like think about like Facebook's metaverse, and then you can jump into a crypto game, with whatever. So like they definitely want to make that mainstream, and whether that takes 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, the point is they eventually want to put the chip in your brain so you can jump in the matrix 100%. So anything that gets us there along the way is going to be bullish in terms of overall market sentiment, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. So the point I want to make with this, this is what you would call a downturn, a noticeable downturn, that comb formation that just kept smacking and smacking and smacking, and then it just finally broke and gave. From the point it finally broke loose to where we're at now, we have only been in a downturn for 19 days, 19 very long days, and I want to kind of speak to this because 19 days does not an investment portfolio make. You've got to be in this for the long term, because the same guys that are crying about it's down 19 days were telling me that I can't wait 6 months out from now to see how much money I'm going to have. Well, what happened to that 6 months now? Every single day is not going to be an up day. Every single day you come to a plate and swing the bat does not mean you knock one over the fence. There's going to be days where you're going to strike out. There's going to be days where things are less than you have to be willing to go the term. And again, to kind of echo Red Bear's sentiment here, is you've got to remember the fundamentals of your project. You're not investing in something here that is backed by some kid in his basement that made this on his kitchen table or anything like that, any of those other weird narratives that you hear about with some of these coins. There are some professionals involved in this, and these guys are from what I've observed, quite impressive. I take my cue from what Red Bear does, but I do my own research, and I'm no stranger to what it's like to assess and vet a good company. And what I see, I like. And so I am, to all cards on the table, I'm down $1.75 million right now. So please don't cry to me about your McDonald's money. If I'm willing to do that, then obviously there must be something to it. I mean, take your own decision, take your own cue. But I'm telling you that I will ride this out, and I will come out victorious. Now, that's my way of looking at this. But I do kind of want to. I sit at the helm, and everybody takes their cues from what's Red Baron doing. Red Baron is still in; he's not going anywhere. So I'm not yanking the ripcord and jumping out just yet. So I've gone probably a lot heavier than I would say. There's probably within our group there's only 2 people that have got more money in it than I do, and again they're in it for the long term too. So that being said, I just kind of want to put my 2 cents in. So anything else you want to share here? This was just meant to be kind of a pep rally, just kind of a little quick thing. It wasn't supposed to be a complete breakdown. But anything else you want to add to this going forward? We'll cover this. We'll revisit this in, however many days it takes to kind of see, are we turning around? Are things getting better? We'll follow up in about 30 days or so and see, are things getting better? Anything else you want to add to it in the short term, though?
Yep. So my final point to make is, if you guys just are getting concerned about the project or anything like that, just tune in to the weekly AMAs. They actually post them on YouTube as well. There's one for House of Chaos. There's one for Rome DAO specifically. They'll really give you some perspective on what's actually going on with the project. A lot of people, you got to realize that this is still a very new project, so there's still so many things that are being built out, so many new ideas that are being worked on, and at the same time, if you don't know what's going on with the project, it's going to cause a lot of anxiety if you're just focused on the price.
Sure. Where are we at with the game release?
The game release is supposed to be happening towards the end of the month, maybe the beginning of February. That's kind of what they're looking at right now.
My personal feeling, guys, is, and I'm just talking out my butt here, but I don't view that. So any of you guys, I've seen this in Discord. It's the reason why I'm bringing this up. Several people say, when the game comes out, we'll see a turnaround. I don't necessarily share the sentiment because you'll see a bump. you'll likely see a bump. But I don't share that sentiment because I think we have a larger issue at hand here, and that's the market. And the market's going to be depressed between now and March. Cold hard fact.
Yep.
It's the truth. So whatever we get, but during that time, that game will get better and better and better, and it'll get because you're not just going to roll out with a game and all of a sudden the whole world's playing it. That too is going to take some time to build. So want to make sure we have proper perspective on that, and so nobody gets disillusioned again. So I want to kind of quell that before it happens. All right, well, so I think that'll probably pretty much do it for tonight. Thank you guys. Thank you, of course, Red Bear, for joining me here real quick. We will do this again, do these real quick assessments and stuff like that as news comes out, and have him break that down for us. And so that'll do it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining.